What is going down, Sourdough Squad? Happy Sunday, everybody. This is going to be the last weekend, Sunday, whatever you want to say, that that we go without football till February. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? We made it. We made it. We're here. Football's around the corner. You can already tell in practices and training camp today, they're getting more specifically geared towards game and game prep. So you can see it. Football is actually going to be here. We're going to be talking about real games here pretty soon. Of course, the 49ers face off against the Packers on Friday for the first preseason game of the year. Oh boy, looking forward to it. There's going to be a lot to see. Hello, Turk. And you guys already know what to do. Smash the like button if you haven't already and drop an SDS in the chat if you're vibing for some football. Let me say what's up to the squad and then we will get into it all. What's up, Gab? We had Dabbing Hyena chilling, ready to go. What's good, 714? Dabbin says Trey area. Charlene says barely survived. What's good, Jeffrey? What's good to all the squad? My island boy. What's good, Sean? Shout out all the SDS. Good to see you guys. Want to make sure we say what's up to the squad. And guess what? We're going to talk about all the updates from today from training camp. We're going to talk about there's Trey Lance. You heard reports, awful day for Trey Lance. We'll talk about all the things that went down today, why people could be considering it potentially a bad practice, but there was some good to go along with the bad. We'll be able to talk about it all. Farhead said, "I saw you at the top of the bleachers. Let's go, my guy. We're working out there. You see it. What's good, Joey? Shout out all the squad. But before we get into training camp, let's talk about we had an update from Ian Rappaport before we came on to the show not too long ago. Guess what? Da-na-na, da-na-na, Jimmy alert. The 49ers are planning to hold on to Jimmy Garoppolo all the way up until the cut deadline when it comes to cutting the 53-man roster. So what does that mean? That means the San Francisco 49ers are just going to hold on and sit tight with Jimmy Garoppolo until a trade materializes. And if a trade doesn't materialize, then they're going to release Jimmy Garoppolo at the cut deadline. So Jimmy Garoppolo will not be on the San Francisco 49ers in 2022. I know some media would love to see that. I know some other fans would love to see that, but again, all signs pointing in the direction that the 49ers will be releasing Jimmy Garoppolo when it is time to cut down the 53-man roster, barring a potential trade. Now, when you look at trade destinations, where are there? Well, we understand what's going on with Deshaun Watson. He could be looking at an extended suspension. Do the Browns, if he gets suspended 12, 10, however many games, do they look for a potential stopgap with Jimmy? I don't know about that. It doesn't really feel like anyone's coming to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo and his big contract. So it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo will probably be off the team when it is time to cut the 53-man roster. Then he will be free to sign elsewhere. And then guess what? The Jimmy Garoppolo saga will officially be coming to an end. It's been a long journey. It's been a long ride, rocking with number 10, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The Jimmy Garoppolo experience will be coming to an end soon. So we just got to wait it out. It feels like. I don't know. What do you? Well, let's poll the chat. Why not? We've been polling the chat all throughout the offseason, so let's poll it one more time. Does Jimmy Garoppolo get traded, or do the 49ers just flat out release Jimmy when it is time? Drop your answer in the chat. I want to see if people are holding out hope that a trade occurs. Again, I've throughout the offseason, I had been steadfast in saying Jimmy Garoppolo is an asset. He is valuable. He's a starting quarterback in this league. You should be able to get something for him. But we all understand when Baker Mayfield got traded to the Panthers, that changed a whole lot. Oh, that my tune instantly changed. I was like, okay, well now there's no one who's really gonna come get Jimmy. But let's see what we got here. Blah says, I bet he goes to ATL. Released. I don't know if they're gonna keep a $25 million backup. Again, feels like a release is coming. Jesse says traded. Interested to see who would trade for him. Joey's saying release. Feels like a release. Feels like a cut. I don't necessarily think that's going to be happening, but looks like a lot of releases. Some traded though. Some traded though. Keep him. Let's go. They'll trade him in another one. Oh, what's good, Travis? Oh, Travis dropped the new Trey Lance anthem right on time. Right on time with the news that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get released. Travis just dropped the Trey Lance anthem. Make sure, I think you can even go to this page right here and listen to a song. I think he posted it on YouTube. Go check that out. The new Trey Lance anthem that you're going to be hearing all over the place. Why not trade him for Hunt? To be honest, you have to think of it like this. Kareem Hunt wants a new contract. So theoretically, you're going to be clearing a lot of cap space. You're going to be you're going to be you're going to be clearing a lot of cap space with Jimmy Garoppolo, but you then would have to bring in uh you would have to bring in Kareem Hunt in that particular example to then get paid a lot of money. And the 49ers have a log jam at the running back position right now. So right now, the 49ers look pretty good at running back. Elijah Mitchell looks really good. TDP is on a tear. We'll get into a little bit more about Ty Davis Price and the last couple days of practice that he's had. But the fact that I'm seeing Ty Davis Price look really good. Jeff Wilson absolutely put a safety on his buttocks today. Like, I'm telling you, like Jeff Wilson stuck his foot into the ground, cut opposite direction. Safety just hit the dirt straight, broke his ankles. Running backs are looking good for the 49ers right now. Even Trey Sermon's looking better. Jordan Mason's looking good. JaMychal Hasty's looking good as a third down back. If you are going to go and get Kareem Hunt, you have to pay Kareem Hunt. 49ers have a value at their running back position right now. I think they take advantage of it. But some people are holding out for a trade. Gav's hopefully looking for it. Sean says, thank you, Jimmy, for pulling out the dark times. Agreed. You will always be a major part of the positive change for the Niners. Respect. Always a professional, always a leader. Aloha. Couldn't have said it any better, Sean. Again, I think people at this particular stage are just ready to get the situation over with. I think when it comes to the Jimmy Garoppolo saga, we understand what the end goal is. We are just been in this quarterback purgatory up until this point and are just hoping to find resolution to this issue that has been ongoing since the combine. When we heard that Jimmy was potentially going to get traded, there was a deal in play, surgery happens, everything goes to hell, and now we are where we are. But at the end of the day, you take a step back from everything. We can all, again, as 49er fans, you guys were right there with me with that season in 2017. They hadn't won a single game. And Jimmy comes in like the white knight and wins 5 games in a row for the 49ers. So we'll give him his proper send-off when it occurs, but till now, is he going? via trade, or is he going via release? So far, does feel like the release is going to be coming. But again, you can hold out hope that a trade will occur. You never know if a injury happens, someone's not particularly ready for a situation to come down. You never really know. But it does feel like at this time a potential release could be headed our way. Shout out my guy Travis, legend in these Niner streets. Appreciate you, my guy. Yes, El Jefe he's looking good out there, man. El Jefe's looking good. But so far, that's kind of the initial update with the quarterback situation. Let's talk a little bit of training camp, shall we? Are we ready to transition to training camp? Are we ready to get into the nuts and bolts of day 10? Dwight Clark Day. You can see I'm rocking my Dwight Clark shirt that the 49ers had handed out for practice today. Dwight Clark, of course, legend, absolutely 49ers legend. Got to commemorate him a little bit today. Absolutely. Of course, Dwight passed away due to ALS, a very serious disease that affects so many. So our heart goes out to him, his family, and many others who have to deal with that. Obviously, a tough situation. But speaking of tough situations, the 49ers offense found themselves in a tough situation today. The defense, my goodness, continues to just elevate. Um, absolutely continues to elevate. So let's take inventory of the starting offensive line, shall we? While we continue to start to build the contextual pie that went into today's practice. Starting with the offensive line, no McGlinchey, no Trent Williams. Like literally didn't even like they weren't in pads. They were in street clothes. They did not participate. Like I talked about kind of at the very beginning of the stream, they are ramping up towards a game time kind of setup because it is effectively game week, right? Because it's Sunday now, but they're playing on Friday, opposed to kind of getting ready for Monday, Tuesday to prep for a game. They're getting ready kind of today on Sunday. They're going to get tomorrow off, and then they will be preparing for the preseason game against the Packers. So no Trent Williams, no Mike McGlinchey today. You got Justin School running with the ones at left tackle. You got Colton McKivitz running at right tackle with the ones. Justin School has definitely had an up and down camp. He hasn't been phenomenal. He hasn't been awful. It's just he has his moments where he can get beat pretty bad. Kamoko Toure will give him has been getting them pretty good on a couple occasions. But you can definitely tell the difference when you have a Justin School in opposed to Trent Williams. And of course, why wouldn't you? So that is part one. Part two, defensively, no Nick Bosa in team periods. They're definitely getting ready. They are definitely getting ready for the season. Again, no reason to put out Nick Bosa. Can we talk about Nick Bosa really quick? Nick Bosa is my goodness. Like women love him, men want to be him. Nick Bosa is so jacked up. Like, well, he walked out on the field today, and you could see his abs from 100 yards away. Like, what the heck, man? Let me get some of that. You can see my gut from about 100 yards away, but I'd prefer to have a six pack like this guy. Um, when he's walking around, man, like you can look at Nick Bosa and you can be like, yeah, this dude's gonna break the bank. Like he's just different. He's just different. He's like we're looking at a field of just pure elite athletes. Everyone on a football field in the NFL is an elite athlete in some regard. And when you see Nick Bosa, he's just different. He's just different. He's just built different. Like this dude is he's crazy, man. Like just crazy. So pay this man all the money. If you like to bet, I don't know what the odds are, but the odds are that this guy wins Defensive Player of the Year is very high. He is phenomenal. He's in immensely good shape. Again, I've told you before, this dude's been giving Trent Williams the business. So just imagine what happens when Nick Bosa enters the field against some random tackle. Like I'm telling you, amazing. You'll love to see it. Um, but again, no offensive line. Some offensive line out, but again, Eric Armstead working off to the side, rehabbing, doing those types of things. So definitely still not up to full speed. But let's talk about Trey Lance. We're going to talk about two aspects of Trey Lance today. We are going to talk about two aspects of Trey Lance today. We're going to talk about the good Trey Lance. We're going to talk about the bad Trey Lance. We're going to talk about them both because I think that's only fair. Got to be as objective as possible when evaluating what's going on out there. And we got some really good Trey Lance. I'm not going to lie. When the first team period begun today, Trey Lance was 3 for 3, and the passes that he completed were very nice. And again, if you guys were tuned into yesterday's stream, I talked about how well Trey Lance finished the 2-minute period to end practice with a touchdown, emphatic drive down the field, completions to Kittle, completions to Debo, touchdown to Ray McLeod. Good energy, good poise, all that type of stuff. And when Trey Lance came out today, I was like, oh boy, he's carrying it over. Look at the young lad. Looking good out here, Trey. Well, that started to subside a little bit, and we'll talk about why it started to subside a little bit. It's not all on Trey. We will talk about what is on Trey and what other nuances can be added to the mix. But let's talk about first what was good. Right out the gate, Trey Lance finds Debo Samuel over the middle for a beautiful pass, right on the money, on target, on stride to Debo Samuel. And again, we've been kind of waiting to see about like what's this relationship with Debo Samuel and Trey Lance going to look like? Is it going to get there? Feels like it's starting to get there a little bit. But again, Debo's not been practicing a whole lot with the team. Definitely not a whole lot with Trey Lance. Debo even talked about that on the NFL Network today after practice, just talking about how he wasn't around. Debo wasn't around, so they haven't really been able to build that type of continuity. But Debo assured the NFL Network crew that Trey Lance and I will be on the same page come week 1. And I believe him. I absolutely believe him. You got to give these guys a little bit of time. If there's anything that we've learned from training camp, it's day 10. They look substantially different from day 1 versus day 10. So you can definitely correlate that over to Trey Lance and Debo Samuel and how they continue to progress. Now, I want to talk about the best play of the day from Trey Lance. I'm talking about like prime, like this is why the San Francisco 49ers drafted Trey Lance with the number 3 overall pick and mortgaged the future to go get him. Like absolutely, like you hear some of the knocks on Trey, and we're going to get into some of those, and some were on display regarding accuracy. But this particular play, you had an underneath linebacker. This was probably a solid 15 to 20 yards downfield. You had an underneath linebacker sitting right in the hole. And Trey Lance just threw a beautiful layered pass right over the linebacker. I believe it was Ornbergs. I don't remember for sure. To the point where he jumped up as high as he could to try to deflect it, and Trey just layered the ball right over him, like right at his peak of where he was jumping, just dropped it right over the back of him, right into Brandon Ayuk's hands. Um, and you're like, oh, that's that's what we like. Like I'm like, that's might be arguably one of the best throws he's made all of training camp. So again, these are like the first two throws that he made. He goes to Debo Samuel in stride over the middle of the field. You're like, oh, let's go right away to Debo. Then he goes right back to Brandon Ayuk with a beautiful layered throw. Again, this throw, when we say layered, like the defender was there the whole time, so he knew he had to get it over the defender. So this is touch awareness of the underneath defender, and two, just overall execution of being able to throw the football with the right velocity and the right touch to get it over. But he also, again, it's a hard throw because behind Brandon Ayuk, you have you have coverage behind him. So if you go too high and you sail it, then you're getting a pick behind Brandon. So he really had to just drop it in the bucket. It was a really nice pass. Really, really nice pass. So right away, like I said, had a really good end of practice yesterday. Where I'm like, oh, he's picking it back up. He's picking it back up. Like, we're gonna have a phenomenal day of practice. Third pass. I think the 49ers even posted it. Let me, and if we can watch it. Let's watch it while I talk about it. I definitely tweeted about it. But he was being flushed out of the pocket to his left. As he was getting flushed out of the pocket to his left, again, wasn't a crazy like long ball. It was him getting flushed to his left, squaring up, and just touch pass, finesse, awareness, those types of things. And when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So these were the first like three throws that he had in training camp. We'll get to what happened after that, but as of right now, so if you can see, this is the play that I was talking about. It is hard to have all your momentum working to the left as a right-handed thrower, see him square up his shoulders, throw almost opposite direction, and be able to find his tight end. It was really nice. Like, in real time, watching it live, watching him flush out to the left, be able to come back, find Tyler Croft for a minimal gain, but it was nice. It really, really was nice. I enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite passes that he's made. Again, short pass, but being able to see him flush out of the pocket. One of the things that Trey Lance does is he keeps his eyes downfield. When he is escaping the pocket or being flushed out of the pocket, Trey Lance is keeping his eyes downfield. He's looking where to push the football. Can he run? Absolutely. But he wants to pass first. And that is one of the good things about Trey Lance. So right off the bat, we felt good, right? Like, based on the way I'm describing it, we're like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Trey Lance is on the move. Then they started to do their rotation. And he tried to hit I believe it was Fumagalli to the left sideline, and he overthrew him. It's hard to determine if it was an angle by the tight end, because if it looked like, from my vantage point, if the tight end had angled upfield, it looked like he would have caught it in stride and could have ran into the end zone. But it felt like the tight end was having a more flat angle horizontally across the field. So that could be a misdirection or it could be a miscommunication based on route concept. I don't know who that fault goes to. It wasn't an egregious overthrow, but he missed. Then he missed on another one, almost in the exact same spot. And then from that point on, he was either on the run. You had a play where Charles Omenihu, friend of the program, right? You guys remember when I interviewed Charles Omenihu like a week or two ago, right before training camp? This was Charles Omenihu's best practice, I think, of training camp. Again, I tried to pay a little bit more attention to the defense today opposed to just offense. And I was watching Charles Omenihu. I was watching Javon Kinlaw. Those two guys were creating havoc on that offensive line. They were creating havoc on one particular play. Charles Omenihu absolutely blew by the offensive line and would have sacked Trey Lance, forced Trey Lance out of the pocket. And again, it would have been a dead play. Like it would have already been a wrap. And you know how it goes in training camp. They want the quarterback to throw the football, even if it's a sack. So Trey would have got sacked, but Trey threw it anyways. That's the one that Fred Warner caught and made a really good play on. Let's see. I can show it to you right here again so you can see what I'm talking about. This was the interception that was actually a sack. So that one was a sack right here to Fred. Again, Charles Omenihu would have had the sack on Trey. Trey let it rip anyways. Turned out to be an INT to Fred Warner. Good play by Fred to be in the spot to get it done. But again, so this is kind of where it started to kind of not spiral on Trey, but things just weren't working out. And Jesse Wade asked about how is Javon Kinlaw looking. Javon Kinlaw is looking pretty good. Today was a fun matchup. We got to see more extended Javon Kinlaw than I think more than almost any practice thus far. Javon Kinlaw was primarily lined up over Aaron Banks. Watching those two guys go back at it was really fun. There was one particular play where Javon was kind of, like he was pushing Aaron back, but Aaron was pushing back on Javon Kinlaw. Literally just looked like two straight rhinoceroses going back and forth. I mean, I'm telling you, like they just like two beasts in the trenches, just pushing back and forth, man. Like watching Javon Kinlaw today. Javon Kinlaw was dancing or bobbing and weaving before every snap. Do what kind of people do that on a football field? People who are spamming, or sorry, people who are vibing, not spamming. People who are vibing. So Javon before every snap, vibing to the music, like just hyped, ready to go. And sitting there with Jordan Elliott, Jordan was like, man, we didn't see this out of Javon Kinlaw at all last year. We didn't see that. And he was right. We didn't see that. And so Javon Kinlaw is in a good spot. The energy is up, and he got a lot of extended period with the first team unit, and watching Kinlaw and Charles Omenihu go back and forth was a lot of fun. What was really cool about Charles Omenihu? Charles Omenihu was moving all over the place. They moved him over the guard. They had him outside the tackle, and he was being disruptive from both places. So Charles Omenihu feels like he is going to have a pretty solid role in this defense. Is really good to see. I had a lot of fun watching Javon Kinlaw and Charles Omenihu today play next to each other. They were doing really good. They were doing really, really good. But again, today, after the initial start from Trey Lance, things didn't really go his way. Again, had a couple overthrows outside the numbers deep. Whether it was timing, it wasn't like egregious overthrows. That could all be taken care of by particularly maybe a different angle by the receiver on the play or whatever. But it just didn't. But also too, Trey Lance almost had an interception thrown to Charvarius Ward. This was a particular like it felt like a move the ball period where they were lined up on like the 3-yard line coming out of the end zone. So it was like if they were pinned deep on their side of the field and they had to come out of the end zone one play before. Brunskill did a really good job of kind of standing up Javon Kinlaw and kind of neutralizing the pass rush. Is a really good rep by the offensive line, really clean pocket. But then the very next play, Javon Kinlaw absolutely dominated. Whether it was Kinlaw or whether it was Brunskill or I think it would have been Aaron Banks, he kind of shot through the A gap and just absolutely uh, burst right through. Instant pressure on Trey Lance. Trey Lance tried to get it out. I think there's been a couple reports of like a miscommunication in the route concept. But regardless, essentially what had happened was Trey almost got picked by Charvarius Ward. So again, I wouldn't consider that all Trey Lance's fault, especially when he's getting immediate pressure up the middle. But again, after the kind of initial day that he had, like started out really hot, he really cooled down towards the end. So wasn't all that great to finish the day, but he started really nice. Let's see. How is Gray doing? Gray had a really nice catch today. Gray has been making plays all throughout training camp. He had a couple catches today that were really nice. He had one where he's coming back to the football, making sure that he was creating separation between him and the defensive back. Gray, consistency again with rookies and young guys is going to be something that he's looking for. But he's going to be a good player for the 49ers. I'm really excited about Danny Gray. Again, Danny Gray was one of my favorite draft picks from this previous draft class, and I think he has an opportunity. But do you know who's really balling out? Ray McLeod. I really, really like Ray McLeod. I think Ray McLeod is really carving out a role right now for the 49ers. You could definitely say that Ray McLeod is having a better training camp than Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings has had a pretty quiet camp for the most part. I was expecting Juwan to kind of I don't know if I was necessarily expecting him to light up training camp, but I was expecting him to have a better training camp. Ray is having the better training camp. Ray had a phenomenal play today. Like, oh my god, I'll show you right now. Let's show it. It was a back shoulder, uh, just amazing effort to snag this ball in. Beautiful throw by Sudfeld, man. We need all the Sudfeld slander to stop because Sudfeld dropping dimes. But look at that catch. Look at that throw and catch. Suddy to Ray Ray. I mean, Ray Ray's really been balling out, man. I'm really pleased with everything that I've seen from Ray Ray McCloud. Ray Ray McCloud is about that action, man. Like every day after these training camp practices, Ray Ray McCloud is out there working for 20, 30, 40 minutes every day after practice. Um, Ray Ray McCloud is going to be a good addition to this team. I really do think that. Again, he had the touchdown yesterday to end that 2-minute drill. When teams are going to be keying on Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Debo Samuel, like we talked about Jawan Jennings, having a potential to carve out a really solid role. Don't sleep on Ray Ray McCloud, man. Do not sleep on Ray Ray McCloud to be that kind of like sneaky, impactful player that kind of emerges out of nowhere to be make some impact plays for the 49ers. He has an explosive element to him. He's clearly illustrated that he can make contested catches, whether it's over the middle, down the sideline, short to intermediate. Ray Ray McCloud has proven to be a player. He's definitely one of the guys that I have really enjoyed watching throughout training camp. He's been a lot of fun. There was a big time collision today. Like we're talking like on the highway, two cars going 90 miles an hour, head on collision between Jimmy Ward and Brandon Ayuk. These two guys, like again, you don't like to see these types of collisions in training camp between your two guys. Like you don't like to see it, but you love to see it quietly, as long as everyone stands up from it and is okay. So everyone stood up, everyone was okay from it, but it was a ball where Brandon Ayuk was coming across the middle. It's probably about 20 to 25 yards depth. So it was a pretty deep pass. So he was beyond the linebackers. He was right in Jimmy Ward's wheelhouse, coming horizontally across the field. Trey Lance delivered a good ball. I have no problem with the ball. But it forced both players to go up and attack the ball at its highest catch point. And these two guys, again, think about how dominantly Brandon Ayuk has been playing, how physically gifted he is looking right now. So you're getting a full speed Brandon Ayuk jumping to a football at its highest point, and then you have Jimmy Ward coming in like a missile to try to intercept the ball. They collide, they bounce off each other. It's a huge collision. Again, they both got up, so everything was fine. Jimmy Ward is quietly having a really good camp. Like, I think we all know that Jimmy Ward's good. Like, we all know that Jimmy Ward is one of the better players on the defense, but he is having a really good camp. Again, I don't watch other shows, so I don't know if other people are talking about Jimmy Ward. I haven't seen a whole lot of Jimmy Ward on the timeline, but Jimmy Ward is having a really good camp this year. So I'm very excited. I mean, I see a lot of aggressive Jimmy. Jimmy is attacking the football. I feel like Jimmy understands that if Jimmy wants to get paid, he needs to create turnovers. So it feels like a point of emphasis for Jimmy Ward, and he is attacking the football, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's really good. Notorious Gaff says, "How's Hufanga looking?" I mean, Hufanga in the first team period would have had a run stop. Like he diagnosed it like that. shot the gap, would have had a nice tackle, uh, either at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield. Uh, Hufanga, dude, like we know, Hufanga is great around the line of scrimmage. I haven't seen him get beat or anything, but when he's around the line of scrimmage and he's having to kind of read and react to the run game, he knows how to get there and get there in a hurry. He's also very good at he's very good at covering tight ends. Like so but we're seeing more Tarvarius Moore with the starters, like the base down starters. So base down meaning only two safeties. We are seeing Tarvarius Moore. So Tarvarius Moore is clearly edging out a role for himself with this starting unit. We see Tarvarius Moore um, more than we see George Odom. So they paid a lot of money to George Odom, but George Odom's not getting a whole lot of run. It's a lot of Tarvarius Moore, a lot of Hufanga, a lot of Jimmy Ward. You see George Odom running with the twos. I don't see him a whole lot with the ones. So I think Hufanga looks good, but one of the biggest surprises for training camp for me is Tarvarius Moore, for sure. And also too, we'll take this point of the show today to open it up for questions. I see you guys getting some of your questions in. Keep dropping them. This is where I'll kind of turn to you guys for any questions or commentary that you have. So feel free to drop those in the chat. I'll try to get to them in chronological order. Again, you already know if you send a super chat, that moves you up to the front of the list. But also in the meantime, smash that like button if you haven't already. Let's get it up. Let's see. Other than Bosa, which other DN has impressed you? Kamoko Ture, Charles Omenihu, even Kerry Hyder. Kerry Hyder showing off his versatility. I like the fact that Kerry Hyder and even Mr. Josiah dropped a question, so this will be a dual question for you both. I can't even pick one. It's all Drake Jackson, Kamoko Ture, Kerry Hyder. I like Kerry Hyder's versatility. I like Kerry Hyder's ability to play over the three tech, over the guard. I like that a lot. I don't love him as a pass rusher. I like him as a base down edge defender for stopping the run, or I like Kerry Hyder playing over the three tech. I don't mind that. But Charles Omenihu had a really good day today. Kamoko Ture has been underrated. Kamoko Ture has this spin move that is deadly. He is working guys in training camp with it. Kamoko's been he does not look like a guy that should be with a second or third string unit. Like he looks like a guy that should be starting somewhere. So Kamoko Ture looks the part. And again, Drake Jackson looks like he's going to be a player. So again, a lot of talk about the 49ers depth at the defensive line. Yeah, it's there. It's legit. It is really, really good. I like it quite a bit. Definitely love it. My guy says Anthony says put Hufanga at linebacker in nickel with Warner. And Yan says, or use Hufanga in 3 safety sets. This is what I think is the most likely outcome. We saw a lot of this last year. They like to run 3 safeties, especially when some of the linebackers were getting hurt. They would bring Hufanga down into the box. I think we're going to see a lot of 3 safety sets for sure, and especially with Tarvarius Moore out there. Do you think this is Ayuk's breakout season? 100%. If you're in fantasy leagues, again, we like to do a little crossover. But if you are in fantasy leagues and you're trying to figure out who's that sneaky player that I could really grab to help win championships, Brandon Ayuk has that potential. Definitely a little bit quieter today, but still, Brandon Ayuk is going to ball the hell out. So absolutely looking like that. Hey, shout out wifey. Shout out Jesse. Says from my family to your family, blessings, prayers. Wifey says, shout out Brad, the best Niner guy out there. Shout out wifey, man. Wifey and Jesse are real ones. I love you guys. I love that wifey just be listening in the background. I still get a huge kick out of that. I get a huge kick out of knowing that if Jesse's out here in the chat, that from my understanding, wifey's in the background listening too. So I love it. I appreciate your guys' support, your generosity, and of course the great vibes that you guys always bring to the table. So again, shout out the homie Jesse. Shout out wifey in the background. We got sourdough wifey in the building. Let's go. You love to see it. Those are my people right there. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are the best. Oh man, I get a kick out of it every time. So good. Let's see. Let me get back to some of these questions. But again, thank you guys for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. Ayuk's gonna break out 100%. Banks is doing a little bit better. He's doing better. He looks serviceable. He doesn't look like a straight liability. And I think that's the most positive thing that you can take away right now. There's going to be some fine tuning that needs to occur. He is struggling a little bit with the bull rush. So again, a lot of people didn't like Brunskill and the push that he would get when it comes to power defensive tackles. Well, Aaron Banks, I think, struggles with kind of speed and like speed to power with defensive tackles. He has a kind of hard time anchoring his hips a little bit. And so what does that translate to when you bring speed to power? They're kind of it's initial push, and when you get his momentum going backwards, it's kind of easy. It looks not easy, but somewhat easy to kind of push him back. And when you're an offensive lineman and you're moving backwards against your own will, they call it anchoring, where you drop your hips, you create leverage, and you just create this angle where you help stop the push. He is struggling in some instances with that. Other instances looking better again. Javon Kinlaw tried to bull rush him today, and he did a pretty good job of not getting totally blown back, but maintaining staying in front of him. So Aaron Banks is doing better though, especially compared to last year's camp. Like last year's camp, watching Aaron Banks, like you were like, oh boy, like what, like my guy needs a little bit of work, a little rough around the edges, not moving so well. This year, he looks competent, and that's a good sign. And he's going to continue to get better, more reps, more opportunities. So I feel better about Aaron Banks for sure. At least at this stage. We'll see how it continues to progress. Caleb says, SDS Brad. What's good, my ginger beard? Doing pretty good. Is Kadar Holloman a dog? He makes plays out there. He does. Kadar Holloman makes plays out there. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea who he was coming into this camp. He's actually making some plays. He stands out. I don't know if it's enough to make the roster, but he does make some plays out there. Is Sermon having a good camp? He's having a better camp, 100%. He's having a better camp than last year. He's definitely showing. Again, it's a little bit hard to evaluate because they're not actually taking you to the ground, so it's hard to tell what's actually a tackle, what's not a tackle. But for the most part, Sermon is having a better camp. And it does feel like they have a role for him. He does feel like he's going to be kind of like that short yardage back, kind of with TDP, but TDP is starting to pull away. TDP is starting to pull away from Sermon. So I don't know what that means in the long run, but right now TDP is having a much better camp. TDP had a slow start, but to be expected for the rookie. These last 2 days from TDP have been really nice. He is. I was looking at him earlier. I was like, man, did we get another Trey Sermon? Like, in the sense of what Trey Sermon did last year, which wasn't a whole lot. But TDP is definitely switched gears, and he's playing at a high level right now, for sure. Gav says, don't sleep on Kerry Hyder. Gabriel says, is Deebo Samuel worth a first-round pick in fantasy football this year? Don't do it. Don't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would be staying away. I would be staying away from Deebo, just based on ADP, the value you're getting. Not that I don't think Deebo is going to have another good year, but I don't think the 49ers are going to rely on him like they did last year. And we've already seen Trey Lance has an ability and this connection with freaking Ayuk. So my fantasy thing would be take the lower ADP of Brandon Ayuk. You could get Brandon Ayuk as your third, fourth wide receiver, and he could be potentially winning you a fantasy championship because you're able to stack other guys. Like, get those running backs early, get those guys out of the way. Maybe try to grab one of these elite tight ends, get that out of the way. Shout out Jason Aponte. Jason Aponte is working out this legendary fantasy strategy where he is taking 2 tier 1 tight ends. Like, he will take Travis Kelce and George Kittle. And it's kind of a genius thought process because you're also taking another tight end away from another team. And then you can use that tight end essentially in your flex as a wide receiver. So I was like, oh, this guy's onto something, but he plays a lot of fantasy. But it's so I would stay away from Deebo. Deebo scares me at that value. But we'll see. We will see. Again, I'm a little behind on the questions. I'm going to try to get to them in chronological order that they're coming in. I don't want to skip over anyone. I want to make sure I get to all your guys' questions. Appreciate you guys sending them in. Let's see which RBs. This is going to be the toughest question that I have to answer, man. Like, this is going to be one of the toughest questions. Which running backs will make feels like they're gonna keep 4. We already know Juice is gonna be the 5th. Obviously, it's gonna be Elijah Mitchell. It's gonna be TDP. Feels like Trey Sermon. Who's gonna be that third back? Who's it gonna be? Because Jeff Wilson looked good today. Jeff Wilson's been looking good. Like, he has been looking good. JaMychal Hasty. They seem to have a role for JaMychal Hasty as a pass catcher. But then you have Jordan Mason, who I hope they don't cut Jordan Mason just because I don't want to see Jordan Mason get swooped by someone. Like, if I'm Seattle Seahawks, like, I'm hovering around the 49ers practice field. Like, if I'm the Seahawks, I got my drone out. I'm like, I got like a telephoto lens, and I'm just watching the 49ers running back situation, and I'm zoned in on Jordan Mason. Because if the 49ers were to cut Jordan Mason, and you look at the guy that they just lost, Chris Carson retired, bro, I am swooping Jordan Mason, adding him to the active roster in a heartbeat. And he could literally be Chris Carson that can catch the ball. Like, I actually think that's a phenomenal comp that just came to me. I really think Jordan Mason is like Chris Carson. So this is where this conversation becomes really difficult because I have no idea. Who are you cutting? Hasty probably gets cut based on keeping Elijah, TDP, and Sermon. So Hasty's probably going to be the first to be on the chopping block. Then you're having to make the decision between Jordan Mason, undrafted free agent, and Jeff Wilson, who's been on your roster for a while. Ooh, probably Jordan Mason. And this is where you start to value, okay, Jeff Wilson's been valuable. He looks good, but he's older. He's had injuries. do we opt with the younger back who's cheaper? Jordan Mason is pushing for this roster. Jordan Mason is absolutely pushing for this roster. 100%. This is a good question. Charlene says, what was center looking like today? Not great. Not great by either guy, to be honest. I'm just not seeing the consistency that I want to see, and I can't necessarily blame either one of them because they are continuing to shift. Brunskill, I believe, was back at starting center today. It's just they just keep rotating, man. They just keep rotating. Brendel, Brunskill. It's like just pick one, please. I don't know. It's I'm starting to lose confidence in the decision making process. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't love the management of the position right now. I think it's again, I'm trying to speak to it from a situation of I've played center, like I played center, like see my helmets, like I played center. I know what it takes to play the position. I know that continuity is a huge aspect of being plopped in the middle of the offense. And you need to be able to I hold the center up in high regard. Like if I'm building a team, my left tackle is elite and my center is elite. I could get a decent right tackle, a good enough right tackle. But if I am building a team, my center is elite. My left tackle is elite. I can fill in with the guards. I can get a decent tackle. I want above average tackle. Let's be honest. I want above average tackle. But I'm looking at those three spots: bookends, center, and right now the center is underwhelming. There's no continuity. They're continuously splitting reps and switching out. Brunskill's trying to learn how to snap in real time. I'm not loving it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. And I don't think it's really fair to either one of the guys. Just pick one, man. Brendel, Brunskill, pick one. Pick one, please. Just end all our miseries. Just pick one. Just feels like this ongoing just hamster wheel. Blech. I don't like it. I don't like it. Yes, Willie Snead was practicing today. He was out there before practice working on his routes, and he's been staying after as well. How are the tight ends besides Kittle looking? Who looks like tight end 2, tight end 3? This is a good question from Matt Ramirez. Right now, Tanner Hudson has been lightweight balling out, but I think it's Tyler Kroft. Charlie Warner is seen off to the side before practices. And I think Charlie Warner is going to make it. I think he deserves to make it. I think what Charlie Warner did last year for this team, again, he's not used as a pass catcher, but he is used as a blocker and a dynamic blocker at that. He's a really good blocker to the point where he helps the offense go along with Kittle. So I hope Warner makes it. I think Warner is deserving of making it. Dwelly, I think, is potentially on the outside looking in. I don't think Dwelly has had an immensely great camp. He hasn't had a terrible camp, but Tyler Kroft has been. Tyler Kroft can block and catch. Dwelly kind of has the catching going for him. So right now, I hope it's going to be Kittle, Warner, and potentially Kroft or Dwelly, one of those two. But we'll see. We'll see how when Charlie Warner gets back, when he gets back into the lineup, and how that affects the final roster and how everything goes in that regard. Let's see here. Let me try to get through some rapid fire questions. Are we taking over SoFi again? 100%. Where did I get this hat? I got this at residency.com. You can too. Use the promo code DSF9ers and get a nice little discount. Oh, I think I see Coach in the chat. Shout out, Coach. Good to see you, Coach. He says, on the anchoring element of the O line, I like to coach it up by telling the guys to sit in your chair. True. Sink your hips and drop your chest. Yeah, that's a good, like, drop your chest this way, sink that way. Coach, you might like this one. I compared Jason Poe to a doorstop yesterday, and I think it's perfect because he's not big, but he's strong. He has great leverage and he's low to the ground, just like a doorstop. Doorstops are what, about this big? They have the leverage angle to it and it stops a huge door that weighs much more than it. That's kind of like what Jason Poe is. Jason Poe's a doorstop, but in the same regard to anchoring, you got to be like a doorstop when you're anchoring, and you got to create that angle in your back, and then you have to be able to drop your hips to support the angle in your back, and all those things work together. You have to be able to plant your feet and move your feet. You have to keep your feet moving. You can't just straight stop your feet. So it's like doorstop. Doorstop, 100%. 100%. We can shout out Pineapple Head Fred. He's been having a good week. He has been having a good week. This my guy says going to preseason game 3 at the Houston Stadium. What am I going to expect? Probably a lot of backups. Probably gonna be a lot of backups. I don't think the starter's gonna play too much. Let's see. Was Trey under a lot of pressure from the D line today? Yes. Yeah, he was under a lot of pressure. Again, interception from Fred Warner was a sack. So the play, if it was live, would have been dead because it would have been a sack. I think I asked this one already. I answered this one already. But yes, Jordan Mason. He's still running. He's not running with the ones or anything, but he still looks good. He still looks good. Let's see here. I'm getting caught up here a little bit. Let me see. Getting caught up. What's good, Cynthia? Croft or Dwelly? I'm kind of leading Croft at this point, just because like I like Dwelly, and I want to make that abundantly clear. Like, I like Dwelly. I thought Dwelly was going to really step up this past year, but he just couldn't do it from a blocking perspective. I want to murder this fly. Man, I want to murder this fly right now. Straight up murder this fly. I hate flies, man. Is Travis Ward still in lockdown mode? Yeah, he looked good today. He was back on his thing. Oh gosh, are there freaking bots in here, man? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up to the chat, getting there. Shout out Jesse. Appreciate the super chat. It says, does Trey play a series Friday against Green Bay? Maybe a series. Maybe. Like, I would not be surprised if they just put him in bubble wrap. And they treat the beginning of the year as like a preseason. I already believe that they treat the first like 4 games as a preseason in a sense, just to get everyone up to speed. He might play like a series. I'm okay with the series. I don't want a whole lot after that. Again, I think just being healthy going into week 1 is more important at this page than anything else. King Dreadhead says, "What's up? Love the content, bro. Appreciate you, homie. Appreciate that a lot." Let's see. HCAS says, "If you had the first pick of the draft, would you still take Lance or take Jones or Lawrence?" Ooh. I would take a fly swatter to kill this fly, the first overall pick. No, I would probably still take Trevor Lawrence. I was a big Trevor Lawrence guy, but I was a big Trevor Lawrence guy, like when he was in high school. Like he it was funny. The way I fell on to Trevor Lawrence was extremely random. I was looking at the Rivals Instagram page. They just have all these headshots of all the top prospects, and this like one face that they just had a whole bunch of them, and this one face just stood out because he looked so goofy, and it was Trevor Lawrence with his long hair. I was like, "Who is this goofball?" And I clicked on him, and then I watched his highlight in high school, and I was like, "Holy crap, this might be the best quarterback I've ever seen." And so he was still in high school at that time. Then he goes to Clemson. I secretly have a very soft spot for Clemson. Um, and thanks to DeAndre Hopkins, one of my favorite draft sons of all time. Um, so, and I think Trevor Lawrence just went to a really bad spot last year, but I still think Trevor Lawrence could be that guy. I don't know. That would be hard. That's a hard one. I wouldn't take Jones. Lance, I like Lance where he was at kind of at 3, maybe at 2. You can make the argument. But I probably would take Lawrence, full disclosure. And that's nothing against Lance. It's nothing against him. I really do think that Trevor Lawrence is like an extremely talented quarterback. Like, yeah, he had a bad year, but look at the situation he was in. One of the biggest things that I've learned about football and evaluating is you also have to evaluate the situation. Um, and the situation that Trevor Lawrence was in was one of the worst in the NFL, with Urban and that whole debacle, like just terrible. Jags, awful. So I don't blame. It's not like he had a great season, but I still think, if I had to redo it, and even again, I'm at training camp practice. I watched Trey Lance last year in training camp. I'm getting to watch him again in training camp. I probably still would take Lawrence if I had the first overall pick. I do still think that Lawrence is a good prospect. He just went to a really bad situation. Um, Jason Poe could be the DJ Jones of the O line. True, true, definitely. Lake City Fresh says, "Brad, my boy, who is your sleeper wideout? Who will be an unlikely hero this year?" We talked about it earlier. Ray McLeod. Like, get familiar with the name Ray McLeod. Like, I think Ray could make some waves this year. So really, really looking forward to that. I don't know if this is a general NFL question, which we welcome those as well. But if we're talking sleepers on the 49ers, it's Ray McLeod. I don't think he's going to be a sleeper for too long. He looks pretty good. Let's see who's playing with Ward right now. It's Tarvarius. Tarvarius Moore has been playing opposite side of Ward, but Huff is also switching in. You don't think Trey needs reps? Just curious. Oh no, Trey needs reps. Trey needs all the reps. Trey needs all the reps, 100%. Trey needs a lot of reps, and I say that as not as a slight. Trey, we've said it all off season. We've said it throughout training camp. You just need reps. I try to try to contextualize it a little bit. Like when I was learning how to kick step as an offensive lineman, it's a specific type of technique that you use in pass blocking. It took me an entire year to literally figure out how to kick step properly. Like, and that is doing it every day in practice. Took me a whole year to figure out my feet, my base and width, uh, like everything, man. Like it took like, and I try to bring that as a reference point when we're looking at guys like Trey who are retooling their mechanics, retooling techniques, doing different things. It isn't all going to happen right away. There is a point that there is like a click over that happens when you're learning a new technique where you're just like clunky, you're trying to figure it out, you're inconsistent, and then all of a sudden it becomes every day you do it the same way. So I think right now with Trey, he's in that in between. He's still trying to make that technique that he's learning be without thought. Like that's just how he does it. Like if I were to stand up right now and kick step, it would be exactly like I learned when I was playing football because that's all I know now. Like it's muscle memory. It's just that's how I do it. So it's like it took me a long time. Like because again in high school they don't teach you the proper technique. You get to college and they're like, all right, well, this is a disaster. Like this is how you kick step, this is how you kick slide, and this is what you need to do. And it takes time. It took me an entire year. So not everyone's the same. I've been with some guys that have ass technique. They show them how to do it, and then boom, they got the technique. It's a wrap. They got it. Boom, on to the next. Then you have other guys that just take time. It takes time to build the like rhythm to it and understand it. So yes, Trey Lance, he needs all the reps, but I think he can absolutely get better from it. Ruben, my guy, I remember you were rocking the fire Bosa jersey today, I believe. With the updated script and everything. He says, "Hey Brad, it's nice meeting you today, bro. It's great meeting you today, Ruben. Appreciate you coming and saying what's up." He says, "Any info on Denard, as in Darquez Denard?" Um, I so I don't know. Did you see this too, Ruben? It looked like he jacked up his finger. Um, I don't know if that's what you're referring to specifically when you're asking about info on Denard, but I did notice that it looked like Denard messed up his finger to the point where he had trainers working on it. They taped it. Even when Denard was walking to come do autographs, he was holding his finger. So Darquez Denard definitely jacked up his finger today. To what extent, I don't know. Thankfully for Darquez, he doesn't really need to catch footballs. So it doesn't look, at least from what I saw, it definitely looks like he injured his finger. But to the extent that it might keep him out, I don't think it would. Um, but again, you never know. But I have not heard anything about Darquez Denard, but I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're talking about. He definitely jacked up. It looked like it was either his middle finger or his ring finger. But yeah, it definitely looked like he did something to that finger. But we'll see. No official reports on that. Maybe we'll get something tomorrow. That's kind of been the cadence. But I don't know if Kyle's going to talk to the media tomorrow. We'll see. We will see. But appreciate you, Ruben. Great meeting you today. Again, fire jersey, and I appreciate you saying what's up, man. It's cool meeting you guys. It's cool meeting the SDS, baby. Shout out, Ruben. Yes, 100%. With the kid Trey Lance, we need to keep our expectations reasonable and our patience above all. Facts. Facts, 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 facts. 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 100%. Facts. My man spitting, Big Papa. Uh, Emiliano says, "This is the internet, man. Get that reason and practicality the hell out of here. There's no place for any type of reasonable takes." There are in this SDS group. We want all the reasonable takes. Uh, Rome says people who never played football wouldn't understand what Brad just said. I hope they can understand because technique is there's a reason why not all these star athletes translate because they don't pick up the techniques. Football's all about technique. It's all about technique and mental capacity. At the end of the day, you look at all these guys, they're all elite athletes, they have all elite traits. What separates them is the technique and mental capacity. And to be able to marry those two things together, if you are a technician, you have an opportunity to go very far in the NFL. I consider myself a technician when I played. I wasn't big by any standards. Jesus, bots are crazy today. The bots are after me. Shout out the mod squad working, man. Shout out the mod squad. We see you. But like I considered myself a technician. I was undersized, 6'3". I played about 285 at center. Going up against, 6'5", 320-pound defensive tackles. So I was considered undersized. And the reason that I was able to be successful when I played was I was fast and I had good technique. Um, and it wasn't because I was like crazy strong or anything. I was very fast for an offensive lineman. I'm gonna punch this fly in the face. Sorry, Brad. You don't be sorry. He says, I know you covered it already, but got in late. What do you think contributed to Lance struggling today? I will answer this question for you any day of the week. I think a part of what contributed to Lance struggling was he's this isn't new. Like when he is targeting kind of, I would say beyond, even outside the numbers on multiple occasions, whether it's short, intermediate, or deep, he's still finding that sweet spot of like where to put the ball. Like there'll be instances where it will be a short out to the sideline. Oh geez, the bots are crazy. Bots are crazy. They'll be like a straight up short out to the sideline. He will put it in a spot where it's, low and away and the wide receiver can't get it. There'll be kind of an intermediate kind of angled to the sideline route and he will kind of drift it upfield a little bit. Today we got more of the drifting upfield a little bit. Um, Again, I think it's just finding the sweet spot. It's the ability to throw over and over and over and over again and just know each and every time where it's going to go, the timing involved. Like you got to throw a lot of footballs to be able to do this. And I know he has in the off season and doing that type of stuff, but it's much different when the bullets are flying. You got defensive ends and D tackles breathing down your neck. Your offensive line are getting pushed into your face. There's a lot that goes into that. And so that is where he needs the experience. He needs the experience with getting pressure and throwing with pressure and things like that, throwing while reading a defense, throwing with pressure. So I think it's just a little bit of an inexperienced thing. Again, I think reps will cure all of this. I think more experience, just more opportunities with getting pressure and forcing to keep his eyes downfield and stay locked in and confident and throw the football in. Uh, that's kind of where I feel he's at. I think there was again, he was getting pressured. A couple of the plays, the almost interception to Charvarius and the interception to Fred Warner were both blown up plays due to pressure. So that's I think the next stage for Trey is when the pressure is there, how do we manage it? And how do we still throw uh, the ball to where it needs to be, regardless of the type of pressure uh, that's coming down on them. Yes, I'm definitely going to games this year. Not positive exactly which games I'm going to, but yes, I am going to games this year for show. Awesome. Shout out Mariah. She says it made complete sense coming from someone that has that was never allowed to play football. I appreciate you breaking it down that way. Of course, absolutely. I'm glad you're able to get it. I see you guys out here in the chat. y'all sniping the bots. Look at that, baby. Sniping the bots. You love to see it. Shout out all the mods in here. We got bots and flies trying to break us down, but hey, we still thriving, baby. We still thriving. They can't take us down. Let's go. Are they having red versus white game? Doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. Definitely doesn't look like it. Can we get to 180 before the stream's up? I think we're about ready to end to wrap it up. Um, I might take. I don't know. I might take tomorrow off. No, I probably won't. Oh, more bots. I'm gonna let the mods handle the bots. I'm gonna let the mod squad handle the bots. Bots are wild out here in these streets. Yeah, I agree with this. Cap says, I think since we're practicing the Vikings, we're skipping the red and white game. Yeah, definitely feels like they're gonna save their energy. Oh god, more bots. More bots. Damn, crazy. Dang, Titan Party says I'm from Hawaii and already booked a trip to KC. Crazy. That's a long way. Lance might be throwing picks early in the season. Guys, like I think we're all a cerebral enough group here to understand and kind of like trying to, you know, we talk about practice every single day. Trey Lance has a ton of good qualities. He has a ton of potential, but again, he needs some time. So as a result, he probably will throw some picks. He'll probably make a couple. There'll probably be a couple throws that will be like, uh, oh, he said in Santa Clara. um, there will probably be some throws where we're going to be like, oof, that looks ugly. But guess what? Trevor Lawrence made a lot of throws that said, oof, that looks ugly. We saw a lot of throws from Zach Wilson that said, oof, that looks ugly. We saw throws from Mac Jones we said, ooh, that looks ugly. Same for Justin Fields. So the same thing's going to apply to Trey Lance. I don't think there's anything different in that regard. So just got to be you got to be along for the ride. You're gonna have to build up that thick skin. You're gonna have to build up that thick skin, and be ready for it. Don't expect perfection out here. Don't expect perfection. What we want right now, the biggest thing that I'm looking for when I'm watching Trey Lance in practice is how does he rebound? How does he bounce back? Makes a mistake, what does he do? Does he hang his head? Does it continue to spiral out of control? And so far, no. If he makes a mistake, he continues to deal. It doesn't look like his energy changes. Again, yesterday, what was so promising about yesterday is he threw a bad pick to Jimmy Ward that would have been like a pick six, but then he comes back. His energy looks like completely different, looks completely confident, and then drives down the length of the field and makes a bunch of plays. Like, that's what we're looking for. Like, that's the progression and evolution. We expect him to throw interceptions. The expectation should be that it's not going to look clean. The expectation should be it's going to look a little ugly sometimes, but that's okay. Because as long as he's able to rebound and continue to get better, that's what we want. So, looking forward to watching his progression, watching the maturation. Um, it's not gonna be all there day one. It's gonna take some time, but I'm excited to see how he continues to grow throughout the year. Um, Again, progression is the name of the game with Trey Lance. How is he from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4 to week that's what we want. Um, that's what we want. Uh, so it is Sunday. It is time. I know some of you guys are going to be going to work tomorrow. So sorry to remind you. But get ready for your work week. And we're going to have a day off tomorrow. So no practice tomorrow, but I'll probably be going live tomorrow for sure. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. We can't go a day without Niner content. We're in the thick of Niner content right now. So I'll probably be coming live tomorrow. Even though there's no camp tomorrow, then we're back at camp on Tuesday and Thursday, and then Packers coming to town right around the corner. So gonna be wild. Looking forward to it. Can't wait. But again, shout out all the SDS. Appreciate everyone who tapped in. Appreciate everyone who liked this video. Appreciate everyone who subbed. Also appreciate everyone who puts those noti bells on and engages and likes and all the content that we post, whether live or short little clips. Appreciate everyone. That's our coverage for today. Again, like I said, be back tomorrow, most likely. But again, appreciate everyone who vibes with the SDS. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll get after it again tomorrow. Y'all be good, be safe, be blessed.